Repetition over time, consistently, whether you're in pain trying to get back or you're trying to build a business or a body, who's going to be consistently putting in that work over time, and that's who's going to ultimately get what they want out of life and their endeavors.
Welcome to the Prehab podcast, where we dive deep into expert insights, connect with industry leaders, and share real stories that help you take a proactive approach to your health. I'm Craig Lindell, a doctor of physical therapy and co-founder of Prehab. And today, we'll be talking to Hunter Crine, a seasoned strength coach with a decade of experience coaching and presenting. He earned a bachelor's degree in kinesiology from Penn State University, and a master's degree in sports science from Hofstra University. Since entering the industry, Hunter has had the privilege to work with athletes from Division I to general population clients and youth athletes. He also founded Kettlebell Coach University in 2021, which educates and supports hundreds of coaches all over the world through virtual 12-week cohorts and in-person certification and events. Together, we discuss our love for kettlebell training and the value in this uniquely shaped piece of iron, what group training and group learning has to offer, the similarities between building a body and building a business, and perspectives on a growth mindset. If you're hungry to learn and you like to get fired up by people with big energy, I promise Hunter's going to entertain you. Thanks for coming on the show, Hunter. And let's take a moment. We got to thank the GOAT, Lori Gravish, for connecting us. We are Penn State, baby. And we are newfound friends and golf buddies. So I'm excited for you to come on the show. Bring your energy to our audience.
Yeah, man.
I love people that are hungry to
when
succeed.
When you say golf buddies, you mean you whoop my ass at golf. But
we've only played a couple times, and the first time that we played together, I did play pretty good. And I got home, and Jackie was like, "How'd you play?" And I was like, "Honestly, I played pretty lights out." And I think Hunter now thinks I'm like a lights out golfer, but the next time we play, I think you'll see the real me.
Yeah, you're sandbagging me, dude.
But yeah. I'm excited to have you on. I know that you'll bring a fun show today.
Yeah, man.
So,
I'm excited to be here. I just want to take a moment and thank you for having me. Walking into this space is inspirational, just like meeting you through Lori and being here, dude. Like, it means a lot to me, and I'm excited to have a great conversation.
Happy to have you back.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about, building strong bodies with kettlebells, building businesses. Hunter's getting married here in a couple weeks, so we can transition to that a little bit because ultimately, I think at the end of the day, how to build a strong body, how to build a business, how to build a strong marriage relationship. There's a lot of similarities. So with that, feel free to introduce yourself. Who is Hunter Crine?
Oh my God, that's a great question, man. But I think the story actually matters. So I'll tell it real quick, not going too deep, but yeah, my name's Hunter. I'm a personal trainer by trade, strength coach. I've been a trainer for 10 years. I fell in love with lifting at like age 14, had some stuff going on in my life. Parents were divorced. And I talk about this moment a lot, like where I fell in love with it, like this confidence that came from it. And I don't know if other personal trainers feel this or coaches, but I feel like a lot of us in the fitness industry kind of get into it because at some point it meant a lot to us and we love it and we kind of stick with it. Yeah, that started my love. I went to school, Penn State, where, he talked about Lori Gravish. She was a professor of mine. I still talk to her now. I'm like, damn, looking through your eyes at 21-year-old me, like, yeah, that might have been, I was a different person as we all are at 21 years old, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I really loved training. And so I went to school. After that, had an opportunity to get my master's at Hofstra in New York City. And, I was a personal trainer in the city. I was working with athletes at the time, but I was also working with general population clients. So 30, 40, 50, all the way up to 75 years old. And got a ton of reps training different people. And so that's kind of where my background is. I work with a lot of different people throughout the years, different walks of life, and try to get them to different fitness goals. Why I think that's important is because I have an experience working with a vast array of people, but I also have an experience as a personal trainer, and I've been able to build my business and find success on that front. So, where I come from is a place of I really like to help people. I like to empower them. I work with people who are injured sometimes, who are not able to do what they want to do, and I have the chance to really make an impact on them. I work with people who are not injured, who want to get, some extra performance on this event. We were talking about marathons earlier. I don't specifically work with them, but that's an example. And so, there's just a lot of reward to my work. And, I think my story is important because I have a lot of experience. I've dedicated myself to learning and helping people. And so, yeah, that's why I'm here today, is to kind of discuss, to a listener out there who's listening, whether you're somebody who is looking to get in shape, or maybe is coming back from an injury, or you're a professional who wants to learn more about training people who are going through either of those two things. Like, I can provide a lot of knowledge, and that's where I'm at in my career now, which is mentoring other professionals, giving back the information I've learned. And, you talked about Kettlebell Coach University. Like, my passion is really giving back this information and giving personal trainers the cheat code almost to, hey, how it was a hard road out there, climbing and figuring it out and building the business. So trying to give them some cheat codes, getting better results for their clients, and giving them mentorship fills me up. And that's what I love to do. And, it's basically, I'm looking at a young version of Hunter, who is like 21 years old, wet behind the ears in New York City, trying to figure out how to be a personal trainer, strength coach. Like, what would I tell him to go and build his life, his career in a way that was by his values, while also helping other people along the way? And that's me, man.
Yeah, I love it. The energy's already here.
Yeah, we're coming. Yeah. It's not just the Celsius, I promise.
Or the ketones.
Yeah, or the
give you some of the
ketones.
ketones.
Yeah.
I want to go back to what you mentioned, and then almost where you finished was the mentoring, right? Like, that's what you enjoy the most. That's how we even got connected, through a mutual mentor. And it's wild. Mike and Arash got to meet Lori. And it was at an event in Boston, and there was a ton of people from Penn State there. And I'm telling Mike and Arash about my experience with Lori, right? Similar to yours, this wide-eyed college student, have an idea of what you want to do, but you really have no idea what the hell you're doing. And you need help. And someone guides you, right? It's like that guiding light. You need a mentor at all times in your life. Even now, Mike Arash and I, we get a lot of business mentorship. We always have. We always will. And it's they call it the tutor effect, the mentor effect. It's like, as you get mentored, you learn, but also mentoring other people, you learn even more about yourself, because you learn from the person that you're mentoring. So it's just this like really positive loop cycle. But I was also going to laugh. It's like, hey, where you've come from, how you did it, anyone that's tuning in, right? Like, it's possible, because what you didn't mention is like, hey, farm boy, small town, super small town. And how do you end up in New York City? How do you end up in Los Angeles?
I guess I left that out. I think that's important though, because what I think's important about that is one of my skills, before I go to the mentoring thing, one of my skills is I'm able to relate to a lot of people. So like, if you put me in a bar, a country bar with people who are just like, a little bit more blue collar and from that side, like, I'll be fine. Throw me in LA, like put me on Venice Boardwalk, it's a little different. I'll be fine, But I think having those different experiences, but that didn't just come through, that came through putting myself in different scenarios. Like, I moved to Penn State from that small town, 48,000 kids, then New York City, then LA. So I've just been in different environments, and I think it allows me to relate to people, because at the end of the day, we're all just human, and you just have to understand where somebody's coming from. But I want to talk about the mentoring real quick. I really enjoyed what you said there about when you're mentored, you're learning what you're teaching better, because the ultimate way to understand something is not just reading it in a book, but you have to be able to teach it back. And the inspiration I get, like, these students think that I'm just helping them, but like,
no, you're getting fired up.
Yeah. They're feeding it back to me and inspiring me. And I think, the only sustainable advantage, one of my favorite quotes is, the only sustainable advantage is learning more than, whoever else you're in the same industry with. And so if you're willing to learn more and commit yourself to consistent continuing education, that's always been my sustainable advantage. It's come through busting my ass and learning more. It hasn't been like, oh, I hired, like they gave me a cheat code. It's like, no, I got to go learn from industry experts. I need to get better at my craft. I need to learn in all different kinds of areas. And that's really how I've been able to do it, man.
Yeah.
You know, as you said, you guys have. And I think that's a hard thing for people to hear, though. It's like, they want to be there now, you know,
Yeah.
and I think it's tough. It's like, you gotta take your time. You got to learn, whether you're a professional or whether you're just a client. Like, when's the last time you gave your client like a sheet of their body and said, hey, and I'm not talking about forearm muscles. I'm talking about like big muscles. And I said, can you name the muscles on your body? You know, like, do you know what this muscle is? Like, and a lot of the times in my experience, the answer is no. So educating my clients too is really important, making them part of the journey and teaching them to learn. Like, we need you to learn about your body too and what's going on so you can live a better life. So,
Well, you have to be obsessed with a problem. And if you're obsessed with a problem when you're working on it, it energizes you. And you are what I like to call a social chameleon. In any setting that you're in, you find a way to just kind of blend in and thrive. And every time I come across your Instagram content, like, you are thriving, and it's because you are obsessed with mentoring. And that's why I was like, we got to bring Hunter on the show. Where we are here today is because Mike Arash and I, we wanted to learn. And we said, hey, the best way for us to learn is if we're able to teach other people. So let's just start creating content, because that's going to force us to learn it pretty fast, and we're going to get feedback. So again, that tutor effect, that mentor effect.
I mean, but you're spitting game at me all the time too, though. Like, that's what people don't understand is, like, I love being around people like you, who it's like just about everything out of your mouth. Like, you are really thinking through some of these things, and you drop dimes on me all the time where I'm like, damn, thanks, Craig, you know? So I appreciate, you know, what you said. And also, yeah, man, like, I think that's also who you surround yourself with too. And in the mentality, the value system, it's like, I don't want to be around people who are like, yo, I know the answer. You know, like it's like ego, defense is up. Like, this is how you do it. It's like, yo, I can feel that a mile away when people talk. So I think it's important to just be like, look, like, let's just be simple about our approach. Let's be open. Let's be curious. And all of these values, you know, it really is the way, you know?
It's a growth mindset. Hey, everyone. Quick break to tell you about an amazing deal for Black Friday. Right now, you can get $50 off a full year of the Prehab app and also gift a free year to someone you care about. Imagine being able to work on your health and wellness journey together. Whether it's tackling pain, improving mobility, or building strength, Prehab has both of you covered. With expert design programs you can do from the comforts of your home and hold each other accountable. But you have to hurry. This deal won't last long. Head to the link in the show notes and claim $50 off plus a free year to give today. Now, back to the show. I am curious, why kettlebells? Why did you choose iron?
Man, that's the question everybody wants to know. You know, that's the question that everybody wants to know. So I'll give you a backstory. So I was strong. You know, when I was like,
I mean, I can see it.
Yeah. So
your name is Hunter, and I look like the hunted right now.
So let me tell you a story. All right. So I was like 14, and we used to go down to this little weight room. It was at the YMCA, DYC it was called. And we had like a plaque with our names on the board, and it had every lift, like clean and press and back squat, trap bar and stuff. And this was around the time I fell in love with lifting, right? And so, dude, I like deadlifted 405 when I was like 14. Probably horrible form. Not probably, definitely horrible form. I wish I had videos.
That's farm strength.
Yeah, and I would box squat like 315. I was like 185. I was a bigger, stockier kid. You know, kids made fun of me when I was younger, whatever. But then I turned that frame into like, oh, damn, this dude's strong. So anyway, I really focused on that strength for a long time. And then I was introduced to some mentors, and I played football and baseball. I didn't make it at the Division I level. I had the skill. I just wasn't fast enough. Like, there was a lack of speed. You could see that was the differentiating factor at that level, right? Especially in football. Like, I tried to walk on at Penn State. And, like, that was a quick, nope, go in the strength and conditioning room. But anyway, so why kettlebells was the question. So as I started to learn more from speed coaches, and I got introduced to the kettlebell, and I got introduced to jumping and explosive training, in preparation for more dynamic activities, I was like, oh, damn, like I'm severely underprepared. Like I'm super strong, but like I can't walk up a flight of stairs without being out of breath. I can't really jump. I can't run fast. Like it was glaring, right? And so when I got introduced to it, I was like, oh, this is like my lifestyle started to change. Like I started to run more. I started to like do more athletic things, and I started to be less focused on just getting bigger and getting stronger. And the preparation just started to show, like by my capabilities. So why kettlebells? It comes down to three things. I'll break it down into 3 buckets. I could go on. I'm not sponsored by a kettlebell company, by the way. This is just true anecdotal.
You're very passionate.
Yeah, I've changed myself, my athleticism, and hundreds, if not thousands of others through this tool. So this is where this is coming from. The first thing is the most versatile tool, right? So I can train power, speed, strength, mobility, all with a few pieces of iron. And that's really important because the biggest barriers to exercise are time, right? So people don't have that much time to put in the gym. So it really comes down to a minimal effective dose equation. What's the least you can do to get the most out of your training? So if I can get that 20, 30 minutes, and by the way, I can get it in my back bedroom or out on my front porch, or in my parents' case, in their barn, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, so we took time. Access is the second barrier. Yeah. So I don't need to go anywhere, right? And so, yeah, it's really important it can go into anybody's hands at any time. We can develop a lot of qualities. They're accessible. And like, again, I can do a lot with it. And it's a lifestyle to me. It's like, I want to go for a run. I want to do some strength in an accessible place. Maybe I want to go to the beach, get my thing in. We used to have athletes go to the track, like before their warm up, they're doing swings, they're doing some arm bars, some halos, and they're going out and running. Baseball, same thing. So it's like, how can I get the most for the least, have access to it, train the most things I can. And that's why the kettlebell, man. And it really changed my athleticism, and I've watched it change just people's lives, you know, their strength. And in the PT world, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like you have clients who go out, they're in pain, they need repeated exposure to the homework you're giving them, right? Like you can't just come in once a week. It's like, here's your exercises, and then you come in next week. It's like you have to get some exposure. And so in the rehab state, what's the word I'm looking for? The rehab setting, we'll call it. It's like, it's the same thing. Rehab or training, you put it in your room, you can get exposure to your exercises, and it's great for rehabbing people too.
Access is huge. I mean, that's the problem that we're obsessed with. And we've been obsessed with it since day one, is improving access. And yeah, if you can eliminate people finding excuses for time, if you can eliminate people finding excuses for access to equipment, you know, and you hit it on a nail, like kettlebells is definitely a culture, and people will call it culty. Well, like cult is just short for culture, but you see it. It's like, it's a lifestyle thing. Like, oh, you do kettlebells. And it's like, yeah, I do all the movements. I know how to swing a kettlebell, but it's great. I mean, and it's really nice because it works well in the rehab setting, works really well on the performance side as well. And yeah, you're capable of doing anything and everything with it, and it doesn't take up that much space. So, I mean, I love it. I'm a big fan of kettlebells. Yeah. And now, lately, what I've seen is you're doing these like group settings, group coaching, group teaching. We touched on the coaching, the mentor aspects, obsessed with that. That's kind of what fires you up and it fuels you. How did you get to where you are now with like these group outings in person in different locations? And I'm impressed because I'll see you post content and you have someone who knows thousands of miles away from you, and you are getting them so fired up doing the heaviest clean and squat that they can with kettlebells.
Yeah. So this is what I would tell you. Like, I was a one-on-one personal trainer. First of all, let me rewind. I was in Division I strength and conditioning. So that's where I had groups in college. And then I transitioned to one-on-one. And so it was like, I'm with you for an hour. And what I would tell you is I wish I got into groups sooner, because one-on-one is very much like, there's a huge psychology component to you. If you ever trained a lot of one-on-one sessions, it's like you probably only need one-on-one for a certain period of time, meaning like educate somebody. But when they get into a group setting, the sociology of the whole thing changes it. The community, it's like somebody who may have pain in one-on-one setting, when they see other people doing it, they're talking to other people about it. They're getting cheered on by other people. Like all of a sudden, it's just different results for the same person. And so what I would tell you is I had the chance during the pandemic. It was, okay, we're all online. And I was like, all right, let me try a group. And then I got on there and I realized I could communicate almost the same virtually as in person. So that's where the virtual group kind of grew. That's how I started KBCU. It's like, I can reach you anywhere in the world and I can teach you this skill set and you can build your business and you can get results for your clients. Like that was the initial thought process. That's what we executed on, right? Yeah. And then it was like, damn, these people want to get together. These people were like leaving my program, starting businesses together, like getting on Zoom calls, like they're like friends, you know? So I was like, oh, let's get the friends together. And so that's where the in-person events come in, and the groups are just amazing because, did you play team sports?
Yeah. Soccer,
right? Not everybody got that experience of being in a team sport environment where it's like, yeah, we fucking know it's hard. I don't know if I can swear or not, but we know it's hard, right? But like, I would look over at my boy, be like, dude, I'm quitting, I'm done. And he's like, you run your ass to that line and get back here. It's like, okay. So when you're in a group, the dynamics of how it goes, it's like, I'm just orchestrating the group so everybody supports each other, uplifts each other in a true, genuine sense. Because there's bullshit out there, right? But in a genuine sense, like, how can we get into an environment where I want for you what you want for me, and it's a positive thing? And that's why a group just takes off. Now, you need to know what you're doing in the group setting, though, as far as orchestrating it and coaching it. And that's another level of artistry. Because some people are like, I don't like group training because I get trashed every time I go to a group class.
Yeah.
So you got to have good quality with the training and foundations. But once you have that, group is awesome.
And then you need a really good facilitator.
Yeah.
Which again, that group energy, it's feeding into this. So I'm really glad that that's coming out on camera. The next thing that I want to transition into is, okay, well, you started as one-on-one and then you did this group thing, and just what has that journey been for you building this business of, hey, I'm coaching elite coaches to help them improve the outcomes with their clients?
Yeah, man. I think this is a great question. And I think like when people like, so I do a lot of mentoring on the side of business too, like, cause inevitably it comes up. What is your recommendation? Here's where I'm at now. Here's where I want to go, you know? And at the end of the day, it comes down to, you need to learn a ton of skill sets that you don't know. Like I literally have a list of all the stuff I have to do on a weekly basis. Like, I'm pretty sure I wasn't taught in my kinesiology program how to do email marketing, social media marketing. Like, were you taught how to set this podcast up? You know, so like for example, but then, you know, managing a team, leadership on the team, things outside of just a coaching realm. Like, I was a trainer, I'm a coach. Number one, that's what I love. But then how do I build the skill sets around that to be able to learn and grow? And again, that's up to you to go out and seek that knowledge. We were talking about that earlier, right? And, you know, I don't know if you want to share what you said, but I was like, yeah, it clicked. It was like, yeah. What was your quote? It was like, learn as much as you can.
Oh, yeah. Before we started recording, it was like, hey, how's everything going? You have the wedding coming up in a couple weeks, and it's kind of this perfect storm of, I'm trying to grow the business. There are a lot of things that I have to learn, that I'm being exposed to, that are just flat out challenging. And, you know, as long as you're challenging yourself, right, like that's good. That's a step in the right direction. But what we focus on, Mike Arash and I, and we share with every single team member, it's learn as fast as possible. It's like fail safely as fast as possible. And when we were first born and when we go to get up on our feet, we fall. And if it's a parent, you see your kid fall for the first time, you kind of want to put guardrails up. You don't want them to fall. You don't want them to get hurt. You're trying to avoid catastrophic failure. But as long as you can set them up in the right environment where they're not going to fall down a flight of stairs, it's not catastrophic failure. Like, let them learn. And the only way that you can learn is by making mistakes, is by small failures. It's like lowercase f versus capital letter F, right? I want as many lowercase f's as possible.
Yeah.
And then that's how you learn. I mean, even right now, starting to learn Italian before a trip. We're going to Europe. And literally the first chapter, the guy is like, I'm begging you to make as many mistakes as possible because you just learn better. I don't remember 9 out of the 10 things that are said that are nice about me or nice about the company. It's nice to hear. It's reassuring, which we can get to that in a second. But what I care about is the 1 out of 10 thing that people are like, do this better. Or like, hey, this could have been a better experience. And it's like, I'm obsessed with the problem, right? And the problem is what is not matching up with the anticipated expectation. Putting together this program, we're working on this product, someone signs up, they had this expectation, but then they end up getting this result. And it didn't line up with what they were looking for. That's what I want to fix. So by getting mentors, by having coaches, by surrounding yourself with people that are working on similar or different problems, it's just how can you learn, how are they learning, and how are they failing? And how can you set up these safety nets where my business is not going to fail? I'm not going to end up on the street. Like all the time when people are like, I want to start my own business. It's like, okay, well, like, what are the pros and cons? What's the worst thing that can happen? And as long as you won't end up on the street or you'll have a really hard time finding another job, I'm like, what's the worst thing that can happen? Just go for it. Learning by failing, you know?
That's a hard one, dude, because, and this is what's so cool about my line of work. What I love the most is, dude, it's a social experiment. And in any line of work, whether you work with clients, you work with groups, like I watch how humans interact within the group. And I watch, like today was literally day 1, week 1 of my 12-week long cohort. You got 20 coaches who are coming in and it's first day of school vibes, right? So people are like nervous, like they don't know. So the first thing I say to them, I'm like, look, I just want to set the stage for the next 12 weeks. So embrace your strengths, number 1. Number 2, be challenged by your weaknesses. Be self-aware of where you can improve. And number 3, like we were talking about earlier, have gratitude that you can move your body and be surrounded by like-minded people throughout this process. And what I find is there's different responses to that second one, which is identify your weaknesses and work on them. Yeah. A lot of times what I see either people have perfectionism, which we know is just like a crutch to not experience failure, right? It's like it's impending failure, perfectionism. But the people that I think succeed the most are the people that fail, but then they go home and practice. Yeah. And they just become obsessed with that, like, oh, I'm not that, like, that is where I need to improve. It's me versus me. It's not me versus you. And I've just seen it over and over again now where, like, I don't know what to call that. Maybe that's grit. Maybe that's what Angela Duckworth's talking about. But it's like that like grit to go, no, I'm going to practice. I'm not embarrassed by this, but I want to make it right. So, that fuels me.
What I've been focused on and what I share with all clients or our team is excellence. Strive for excellence, because excellence in its purest form is just, it's really good. It's great. It's better. And as long as you can focus on excellence and you can get over the perfectionism, it's like you don't learn anything from doing something perfect, right? And there's a really good quote where it's like amateur golfer, they practice until they get it right. And then they take a break. And it's like, oh, I finally got that moment where I hit a ball straight, super clean iron shot. And then you can take a break and like, all right, I'll call it a day. Professionals, they practice until they can't get it wrong. So they're striving for excellence. And whether it's, working on your own body, it's helping a client working on their body, or you're working on your own business, like the common ground is just how do you get better? And we talked a lot about so far, hey, learn as fast as possible, make mistakes, but we're always going to be focused on how can we get better. But a big thing that we focus on here, that of course we focus on with client care, patient care, is reflecting gratitude. It's like, yo, look where you came from.
Yeah.
yes, there's 10 things that you want to focus on with this exercise or with this activity. But if we don't pause and anchor ourselves to where we actually started, you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to recognize the progress that you made. Let's transition to the marathon stuff because I think that'll be funny and entertaining to talk about.
Yeah.
But I know you and I have talked about it, and it's, the race is cool. Crossing the finish line, getting a medal is cool, but it's the journey that, I think if more people get obsessed with that, they'll have a way better experience.
You mean the journey of the marathon?
Yeah. Because it's similar to the business, right?
Yeah.
Like a business is just, it's multiple sprints of a marathon.
Yeah. Well, let me just tell you honestly that like I used to look at people who ran marathons and be like, I have no interest in that whatsoever. I think like that's insanity. And also like to me, like that didn't showcase the athlete that I wanted to be. But I'll preface this with saying that I ran the marathon as a self-test, not a physical self-test, but if I knew what the hell I was talking about in regards to dosing aerobic training. So aerobic training, meaning like how cardiovascularly fit you are, we know is really important to your longevity on this planet. And so if I have a client, it's like, hey, how are we going to dose this cardiovascular training if you're doing nothing now? Like I'm sure you have listeners listening to this right now who are doing no cardio. So then it's daunting to go, well, I need to do 30 minutes of cardio and it seems like the only option is to just walk outside and start going for a jog. So for me, it was really a journey of how do I learn about training that, coming from being 230 pounds, completely on the other side of the spectrum, speed, power based. And yeah, dude, like if you watch the video of me running the marathon, like, dude, these legs need to get smaller. You know what I mean? But like, to me, it was really, I learned a ton about myself in the journey. But I also learned a lot about how to help other people. And to me, I just learned so much about the brain. It's like, okay, I don't feel like doing this. I don't want to do this run. Oh, this is hurting. Most people stop at that point, and so I think there's importance on how you dose return to run and how you understand how to do that so that people aren't hating it and in pain all the time. But I was able to understand when it was pain, when I could push it, when I could pull back. Number two, you got to be calm out there, dude, in endurance races. It doesn't help to get like super tense and like listening to Eminem in my headphones. Like I got Eminem, like, no, I got to listen to now, like, I don't know, some like calming music because it's like you're there with yourself for however long. The calmer you get, the more successful you're going to be. The more tense and strained you are, the harder it's going to be, So I think those things there's a lot of mental reflection I learned through the process, and it really helped me learn how to program it and get people, clients and coaches to understand how to train aerobic adaptations better.
How would you say it's helping you with building your business? What you learned from all the marathon training? Because that's what I think has helped me the most getting into endurance sports is I feel like I'm a better business owner and a colleague since getting into all the endurance training.
Wow, that's a great point, man. I think, again, you don't have much options when your day is like packed like this, and then you have 1 hour to run and you got to hit it. And immediately you go like, I'm tired. I don't have time for this. I can't but then you do it and you repetitively do it and you start to realize how much energy you actually do have and how much more you can really squeeze out of your life. And it's never as hard as you think. So like, I think that's right. I think like it taught me like these stories we tell ourselves, I'm tired, I don't have time. Usually they're not always rooted in fact. And so when you get into endurance sports and you have to go, you just realize how much, I think, mentally tougher and how much more you have to give. I think that's really what I learned in that process.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's on the docket with Kettlebell Coach University? What's next for you?
That's a great question. So we just had an amazing event in Austin, Texas, where we brought down 40 people for 3 days.
It looked like a party.
It was
I saw all the Instagram content.
It was so dope.
You had a good videographer. You had good music. I was like, damn, I kind of want to join like one of these next time.
Dude, yeah. Well, next year is going to be fire. 2025. I'll hit you on the link. But Yeah, it was amazing, man. We brought 40 people down. One of my friends, he literally just climbed Mount Everest. He was climbing Mount Everest while we were on his ranch, right?
Wow.
His name's Devin LeVake. And so he was like, yeah, you can use my ranch. It's hooked up. It's like 6,000 square feet, pool, sauna, cold plunge. We brought in a girl who just does team competition. So we did tug of war, beach volleyball, or med ball volleyball. In retrospect, probably don't use 14 pounds, right? Then we did like a mile run with a kettlebell. And so that was one part of it. Then I had my friend Johnny come, who is a mental health coach, mental health and performance. He works with veterans, like combat vets. Like, he's a hard looking dude, but you'll tell him your whole story. So he did the breakouts on that. And my other friend Scotty come, who was a head athletic trainer for the Hawks for 10 years. So he came and talked about recovery and all this stuff. And then I obviously trained people. And so it was this nice like flow of like, okay, we're going to give you a presentation. We're going to give you the information. Then we're going to train you. Then we're going to let you reflect. Let's have some downtime. Let's sauna. Let's cold plunge. Let's play with the donkeys. And so it was just, it was like, yo, like, hey, this is the shit that I like to do, you know? So it's like, hey, come into my life for a minute and like, look, we want to get to know you. But people had moments, man, like reflection moments. People are looking for that inspiration where it's like, hey, look, like, I know that like in my bones, like I'm meant to do something on this planet. And I want to be around people that also want to do something. And I need that like moment to get the juices flowing. And that's what it was, dude. That was what the inspiration for it was.
I'm fired up. I'm ready to go grab a kettlebell.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, hey, man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man.
I want to give you another opportunity. Hey, is there any parting advice that you'd share? And I mean, Hunter is hysterical, big level energy.
Yeah.
Love connecting with you. I'm so glad you came on the show. But yeah, what else would you share?
Oh man, that's a loaded question, but I'll try to think of something. So, I mean, look, I would say that the advice, I think the word that you said earlier was patience, right? Number one is patience. Number two is repetition. So going back to your golf analogy, I started playing golf last October, because I sucked, you saw it. And I hired a coach because that's how I am. It's like, I'm going to hire a coach, 20 lessons.
I mean, the best coaches are people that get coached.
Yeah. So I get him. His name's Don Kim. He speaks broken English. I like it that way because he's not that frustrating to me. He's funny. He's like, like I'm swinging. He's like, Mr. Hunter, too tight. I'm like, Daddy, I love you, man. Like, but like, do you have any other cues? But anyway, so one day I was getting frustrated because I sucked. And I was like, dude, what the fuck's going on? We got to turn this around. And he's like, how many balls do you hit? And I'm like, I don't know, dude, I come here like 2 times a week. And he's like, dude, I hit 200 balls a day for 15 years. So I don't really want to hear about it. That was it. He didn't say it like that, but that's how I took it. And I think that repetition over time, consistently, whether you're in pain, trying to get back, or you're trying to build a business or a body, those are the things. Who's going to be consistently putting in that work over time, and that's who's going to ultimately get what they want out of life and their endeavors. So that's my advice.
Yeah, that's discipline, right? It's just finding a way to love the things that you don't want to do. And Kirsten pointed me out to Rich Roll, and Rich Roll, one of his quotes, "Mood follows action," and I have lived by that phrase ever since I've heard it, because you don't wait to get into the mood to work out. You shouldn't wait to get into the mood to do the thing that you need to do. You need to just stop listening to yourself, and you just need to go do it because your mood is going to follow what it is that you're doing. You can be your own best salesperson. You can talk yourself out of doing anything that you want. So your mood is just going to follow the actions that you're taking. And if you are doing a lack thereof taking action, your mood is just going to keep following that. And you don't feel good about not taking action. So, finding a way to be disciplined, planning, right? Like there's a whole reason why plans help. It's because, you
seem like a planning kind of guy.
Well, I'm trying
to get better.
I'm pretty good at planning. It's a matter of actually following the plan. And, Kirsten's giggling. Because,
She's like, what the fuck?
Executing the plan. And that's the hard part. Planning is kind of easy.
Yeah.
Executing the plan.
Yeah.
We have better days and not so good days. But hey, man, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And how can people find you?
So I'm on the Instagram. Yeah. Hunter Crine. And then if you're interested in our university, kettlebellcoachuniversity.com. Also, you can look out for dates. We'll be all over the country next year teaching seminars and workshops. So
and hanging out with donkeys.
Hanging out with donkeys, man. Nice. They're lucky I didn't saddle them up.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.